Hey, welcome back, YouTube to BitChute and all points in between. This is Jason returning again with another episode of The Shittiest Roommate. Welcome, tuck in. You're in for a treat. It is now time to discuss the black time. I'm very preoccupied with work and school at this point. Since my point of entry on the house is opposite from the front door, the only real contact I have with Jed at this point is what I can hear from him through the walls, and whatever odor seeps under the door past my Homeland Security setup. This is pretty tolerable as a condition, definitely worth the $50 a month I was paying for it, but I was starting to get worried. I was worried about Jed's tarantulas getting into the ventilation system, so I sealed that off with plastic wrap and duct tape. Then I started worrying about fire. Jed liked to play with heating elements and flames, and he was an alcoholic, so I was worried that with a sealed off vent, I wouldn't know if the house were on fire. At around 3 p.m. I was studying when I noticed that my feet were getting wet. Upon inspection, the carpet next to the wall was wet. I went around to the front of the house and found that the door was ajar. I went back to my apartment and picked up a plumber's wrench and a flashlight to see what was wrong. I'm not exactly the best at descriptions, as you can probably tell from the poor quality of my writing in this thread, but here's the best I can do. I'll try to portray these things from my perspective at the time and not reveal what they eventually turned out to be. I unlocked the front door of the apartment and pushed it open after confirming that Jed's truck was gone. The lights in the place were out and the shades were drawn. The light shone inside and revealed that there were strange particulates hanging in the air. Not quite smoke. I would almost say that the odor was so thick in the apartment that it could be seen with the naked eye. Upon reflection, I imagined that what I was seeing was mold spores. As the arc of light from the bright outside swept across the room, a few things were revealed in sequence. First off, the common area was absolutely covered in free student newspapers. There were obviously things underneath because the newspapers bulged, and I could even identify an easy chair covered in newspapers in the corner. The kitchen was crammed with garbage. I could identify 2 large bulky garbage bags in the corner of the common room. Investigating them further, I discovered that they were covered in some kind of glistening brown muck. The whole place smelled absolutely rank. I swept my light across the place a few times just to make sure Jed wasn't lying there in wait with a knife or something, and I proceeded into the apartment, leaving the door open. I took some Vicks Vapor Rub from my pocket and just dabbed some under my nose. The garbage bags had been hastily pulled out of the common room closet, the one which contains pipes leading to Jed's bathroom. I shined a light into the closet, and a rat or a mouse or something ran very quickly under the newspapers in the common room. I looked and saw that there were several dents in a pipe in the common closet, and it was otherwise soaked. Finding no immediate source for the water, I proceeded into the hallway toward Jed's room. I was a little uneasy because the whole place was filled with debris. The common furniture that came with the apartment was lodged in the strangest places. Like the hallway to Jed's room had the common couch in it, upturned. I climbed that after making sure Jed wasn't under it. I was a little more nervous because my egress had been successfully blocked by this couch, and walked past the debris. It looked like he was salvaging equipment and building materials from local construction yards. I could identify in the hallway piping materials, toilet lids, cinder blocks, scrap wood, and a box of pilfered nails. Jed's large sledgehammer or geologist hammer, I don't know which, was lodged in the door of his room. I pushed it open and the damn thing fell out, giving me a fright. Anyway, I proceeded into his room, which was strangely clean. There was nothing in there, but the floor was absolutely soaked. I realized what happened. He realized there was water everywhere and threw all his shit outside of the room into the hallway and leaned his mattress against the sliding door, where it remained, to my knowledge, for like 2 weeks. I have no idea where he was sleeping. The leak was coming from his bathroom, so I went in with my wrench, ready to clock the shit out of my crazy roommate if he should jump out at me. I saw the familiar smashed bathroom fixtures, and I was very thankful for the Vicks Vapor Rub, but the stench stung my eyes still. There was a bathtub covered in newspapers. I prodded it with my wrench, and the newspapers gave way like they were on top of Jell-O or something soft and organic. I prodded it harder, and what I can only describe as fecal fluid seeped from the sides of the newspaper. I think he was taking shits in the bathtub and covering it with newspapers like some kind of foul lasagna. The leak was coming from under a sink, which he had dislodged through some violence. I could see the remains of a cinder block on the pipe, so I think we might have been hitting the pipe with a cinder block. I turned off the water to the sink, stopping the leak, and decided that it would be best if I left before he returned. On my way out, I climbed into the kitchen area and opened the fridge, just out of curiosity. There was a ball-like organic mass in the middle with tendrils of mold growing out of it. It was roughly the size of a human head with a large dent in it. Not desiring to get toxic mold in my nostrils, I closed the fridge and surveyed the common closet again. The walls of the closet were covered in black, shiny material which glistened. Upon closer inspection, it was mold. I didn't know that mold looked like that. I prodded the newspapers a little bit, but remembering the rat and not wanting to get bitten, I left the apartment, closing the door behind me. I got a towel and did my best to dry out the carpet. I left my sliding glass door open to help air the place out. I printed out a notice to Jed that I had entered and fixed his sink and placed it under the door. I later heard Jed come home, and he obviously discovered I had been in there because he started freaking out, swearing, and throwing things around. I heard the couch in the hallway get rammed into my door. He threw a tantrum for another 5 minutes, and then I heard the front door of the apartment slam. I heard him approach my sliding glass door swearing, and I can only imagine that after seeing it open, he decided not to come any further. Like I said, the guy was afraid of me. He left in his truck a few minutes later to return in 10 minutes. I heard strange moaning and stumbling around in the apartment after that. I think he was moving furniture or something. I heard breaking glass a few times, but after that, silence. Now we have a question from the forums here. Spiders freak me out. Just the thought of one of his 6 coming flying at me from under some newspaper would be enough to make me torch the place and run screaming into the night. Excellent writing and story. Anxiously awaiting the most assuredly horrifying conclusion, preferably involving flaming spider death. Oh, I completely forgot about that. Yeah, I was not only afraid of Jed popping out with a knife, I was also afraid of those tarantulas. They were like a big unknown X factor in the apartment. Normally, I'm not very frightened of just god-awful messes or rats, but if you throw in giant tarantulas into the mix, it really drives me up a wall, especially in terrain like that. I was imagining settling my hand down a part of the couch right as I was climbing over it, and setting it right down on top of one of those hairy bastards. They could move too. The fact that there were newspapers all around for them to hide under didn't help, and I imagined they had plenty to eat while in that apartment, and possibly gave birth to a jillion other little tarantulas. Alright, we have another comment from the forum that this was posted to. Can you please answer my question about the batteries from the previous page 2? And his answer is, I was worried about this too. Apparently it worked out though, because it could sit for long periods of time without draining the battery. I tested it and it lasted a weekend with no problem. Not even slight sluggishness. I think it went to sleep mode or something. I had a crazy backup system whereby the car wasn't required to even lift the bar, but instead just nudge a little thing that would roll down a ramp, knocking the bar out of place just in case it was running too low on power to lift the bar. But I never had to use it because the batteries lasted. They even lasted for a week while I was away on break. And then the last comment here is, I hope someone makes a Doom 3 mod based upon this story. Alright, next time you join the story, we'll be talking about the second re-entry into the common area by our protagonist, and I hope that you enjoyed what we just experienced together in this video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit up links in the description for other sorts of things that I find interesting, or if you find me interesting, you can follow me on social media. Thanks so much, and I'll see you next time. Bye, everybody!